Live on YouTube. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at the Julie Chan Show, where passion meets purpose. Today's guests are all linked by their love and passion for sleepaway camp. We've got Dia Morgan here, Iris Krasnow, and Scott Weinstein. And these three are true trailblazers in the camp community. They have done so much at the camps that they represent. We've got Camp Agawak and Camp Med-O-Lark. And we are going to start this morning with Dia.
Hi.
Hello, hello. So you grew up going to sleepaway camp.
Yep.
You started at 9 years old. So young. 9 years old. And your first summer, did you go kicking and screaming, or were you so excited?
No, I was so excited. Both my brothers went to camp, and they're 6 and 8 years older than me. So anything that I could do following in their path, I always felt like such an adult. And it was like, yes, I finally get to go to camp. This is amazing.
And your experience at camp was so much fun that you have gone back for over 10 years being a camp counselor. Talk about that.
So I think being a camp counselor, like my favorite summer of my entire life was my second year on staff when I had the youngest campers. And it's the most life-changing thing to not only go to camp and you kind of learn how to clean up after yourself, shower. I was most definitely not the person to shower. That were
was perfect for you. It was an excuse.
No, it was definitely one of those, like my counselors were like, Dia, showering the lake doesn't count. And then my last summer as a counselor had one of those campers, and I was like, I know how to deal with this. I know how to coax them into hygiene. And so I think, going off to college from there, I had such a leg up where all these people were homesick, and I was like, been there, done that. I at least have a cell phone to call my mom this time. It also, made me pursue my career in music. It also allowed me to move off to Los Angeles and not be homesick and know that my parents are a call away. And it's an amazing experience.
It built so much independence from such a young age. And it also sounds like it helped you find yourself. Tell us a little bit about the camp experience. Many of us haven't had that experience, and many go to camp, but just go to day camp. What is the real value besides not having to shower? What are other values?
Don't get me wrong. You do have to shower. I just didn't and got in trouble, but I learned the importance of showering there.
And what else though?
No, I think that there's so much that we learned there. Confidence in self. I'm incredibly ADHD. It's something that I've dealt with my entire life. And in 4th grade, I was kicked out of school. Not great at schooling. And it was the first place being at camp that I belonged. Having high energy there, running around like a crazy person, cheering, singing, that's all encouraged there. And it really shows you if something doesn't fit, it's not that you don't fit, it's that you fit somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the most amazing things that I realized, where I'm not somebody that's going to be a corporate American person. I'm a freelancer who's going to make content for the rest of my life. I'm good at it. And I know that because I did it when I was 18 as a counselor there. I was singing at campfire when I was 10, and those little things show you there's a spot for you, whether that's you're the arts and crafts kind of person, whether you're a waterfront kind of person, whether you're good at dances. I'm an awful dancer, and this camp that I went to is such a big dancing camp, but there was still a place for me there. And I think that that's something that's so special about camp, is that no matter who you are, there's a place for you.
Was it also an opportunity to try new things, to get out of your comfort zone?
Oh, absolutely. I became a swimmer in high school. I didn't even think about this until you just asked me that question. For 4 years, I was on the swim team because my camp counselor was on the swim team. And she's like, you did pretty good at swim the lake. And that's another thing that taught me discipline, being on the swim team because of camp, because I swam the lake. And, that helped me.
You could do it.
Which is crazy. And the fact that I got hired to my internship that ended up being a job that I worked for 3 years because I was on the swim team, because my counselor was on the swim team, because I swam the lake. All of these things are so connected, and I would have never done that without camp.
And your music career. You have this incredible music career now where you're a singer and a songwriter. Tell us a little bit about that and how camp propelled that journey.
So when I was 9 years old, don't ask me why they did this. They would never do this again. But they put the 9-year-olds, the youngest campers, on the bus with the CITs. And I randomly just, on the way up to camp, I wasn't even at camp yet. And I was like, do you want to hear me rap Eminem? Don't ask me why I thought this was an appropriate thing to do. And I rapped for them. They're like, oh, she's like pretty good. And from that point forward, they were like, oh, that's the girl that sings. And I started singing at campfire. People would like walk up to me and be like, sing us a song. And I'd be like, okay. And it kind of gave me the confidence. Whereas when I was home, my parents would be like, can you stop singing in the grocery store? Versus at camp, they're like, can you sing for us in the middle of the lodge? We want to hear. And it encouraged that like just freedom of expression, which is now what I do every day. I not only use my own words to help me write, but I'm sitting in writing sessions with other people, helping them express themselves, which is something that camp has taught me to do for other people and myself.
Literally, camp was where this singer in you was born.
Yeah.
That's
truly incredible. Like this summer, Mary's like, will you sing at campfire? And I was like, I used to have to beg you to let me sing.
It's your opportunity to shine came from camp and grew from there into your career that you're so passionate about.
I'm obsessed.
Truly amazing. We will be back with you in a minute. We're going to go to Iris now.
Hi.
Hello, Iris.
Hi, how are you?
So good to be with you.
So Dia goes to my camp, Camp Agawak for girls in Minocqua, Wisconsin. And I'm just so happy to see her. And I knew her when she was younger, and she's still young. I am not young, although I'm young at heart. I still work at my summer camp, which is Camp Agawak for girls. And I started going there also when I was 8 years old, only it was 1963. And I still go there. I skipped 40 years.
And you loved it so much that you wrote a book about the value of camp.
Camp Girls.
Yes. Among many other books. You have been a writer for a long time, and the passion for writing came from camp.
Exactly. So when I heard Zia's wonderful tribute to her music career being part of our camp experience, we had a weekly like reading from this camp magazine per se called Agawak. And I wrote for Agawak every year. I went to camp from age 8 to 18. I was a counselor. And every week I wrote, even as a very young child. The older campers would say to me, wow, you write well. And so when you loved, and I loved writing. I love talking. If you can talk, you can write. And so the encouragement from people in my community, the passion I felt within, the support you get from your community, passion plus support equals power. So there was a sense of passion and purpose and power. And I've written 7 books. I teach journalism at American University. And now I run the writing program at Camp Agawak for girls. And that happened because at our 91st reunion, we think it was the 91st, Mary, our director, she had read one of my books and we were talking about it. And I said, well, I got my start writing for Agawak. And she said, what's Agawak? Meanwhile, Agawak had been dead for 25 years. And I got really excited, see the vein throbbing in my neck. And I said, oh my God, Agawak was where I got my literary start. And that's why I've written all these books and been on Oprah and everything. And she said, in the same breath, she said, why don't you? And I said, well, what if I? And so I went back to camp 8 summers ago. The only summer I skipped was last summer because we were not open. I can't wait to go this summer. I really think that we will have a very safe camp. We're all aware that we're still in the middle of a pandemic. There's no place safer or better than kids this summer, particularly after a year of Zoom gloom and heightened depression among young people.
Social media in general.
Yeah, we need to get them out in the woods.
Yep.
So I'm really excited to go back. And my book, I just held it, Camp Girls, which is a new book. It really chronicles not really my experience, but the universal camp experience. And I know you're going to talk to Scott after me, and he actually owns a camp and runs it. And he sees these generations of kids coming back and forth and really growing in independence and ambition. Like the life skills that I feel that I'm very strong in, which is I'm organized, I'm ambitious, I am definitely a team builder. I am very risk-taking. I'm adventurous. I'm a good friend. All that stuff that makes you a successful adult and a successful mother. I mean, I don't know what my kids would say, but I do have 4 sons. All those skills really you learn as a child in a camp environment. I know everybody doesn't go to camp, but there's some place in your childhood that you kept going back to that built your character, and it becomes your history holder.
Right. Absolutely. And I just have to share, I love this page in your book with all of these, your camp friends, right?
All of us girls in our 60s who went to camp together. And I just love that you're holding that up, because these are my closest friends. You know, these are the women who knew my parents, who aren't alive anymore. These are the people, my sister went to camp with me, you know, such a valuable experience for siblings. And you can call every time I'm on the phone with a camp friend who I've known for 55 years or more. I laugh. Like if I even hear their voice, I start laughing, and my husband will go, I know you're talking to Liz. I know you're talking to Margie, because there's no one that knows, there's nobody that slept next to you. See, I have kind of wild hair. I have camp hair all year round. And so when we were like 15 and 14, we, you know, those of us with curly hair, we used to sleep with our hair on top of our heads with dippity-doo. You probably don't even remember dippity-doo, with Campbell's soup cans. And I mean, it was so uncomfortable. So we would have straight hair. Like nobody remembers that about us. Here is my Camp Agawak horse show trophy from 1970. Now, all right, there it is.
There it is.
Why do I still keep this in my office next to my computer? Like, who does that? However, it brings me joy. It brings me power. It makes me remember how hard I worked every year as a camper to finally win the horse show 8 years later. And you know from your own girls who went to the camp that you're going to hear about next, how we work so hard and then we achieve a goal. And it comes from hard work. It comes from trying again. You fall off a horse, you get back on the horse. Believe me, I've done that a lot.
So much confidence. Yeah. Well, and I love that it was at camp that you wrote for the paper and you got that experience, and it really fueled your passion in life. And you went on to write all these books, and it helped that you went every summer and you had this experience. And it was, as you say, like it becomes part of your ingrained memory, and you go back to that and you remember the joy from those experiences that then fuel your adult life.
Well, all I have to do is look at my horse show trophy, and it makes my day. You know, we've all been, and I call it the Zoom gloom, and I've been the baby Zoomer because I teach college and it's been all online. And, you know, finally we're coming out of this dark tunnel into a light of hope. And I hope that everybody out there gets vaccinated, because that's how you, at camp, we learn team building, and we learn collaboration, and we learn the golden rule, which means do unto others as you would do unto yourselves. And so I don't want to be political, but it's so important for us to really come together as a community like we do at camps. And I think, Julie, that's another thing that I really notice. It's a huge family. Like, I love my family. I love my 4 boys and my husband and my cat. And I love my sister and her kids and my brother. But the camp family, like Dia, is like a sister.
Okay.
I haven't seen Dia in 2 years or 3 years, and she and I are going to just pick up exactly where we left off. And these 25-year-olds are so nice to me. I'm 66, and they take me in. You know,
you get to go back to camp every summer to be a teen again.
Well, you know what? To be joy, to feel that primal joy. I never feel like a teen. I feel like I'm leading a life, which is the theme of your show, of passion and purpose. And the way you age well is to keep doing things that you love and to switch it up a little, to have, I switched it up.
Thank you so much, Iris. We're going to go to Scott, and we will be back with you.
Hello there, Julie.
Hello, Scott. Scott, Camp Med-O-Lark is the first camp that my 3 girls ever went to, and they found when your people were at in Pasadena, and your camp is all the way in Maine, but you had a booth in Pasadena, and my 4th grade daughter at the time was so drawn to all of the crafts, the candle making, the glass, all of the beautiful art she saw there. And I just have to say, Scott, you do this camp, you direct the camp, you lead the camp, you own the camp with so much heart. And it is your heart and your passion that I think make the camp so special. And truly, like Iris just said, you make it family. And that is incredible. So I want you to tell all of our viewers now, you started this camp in 2006. You've been running it, gosh, almost 20 years soon. You and your wife have done this with complete love and passion. Where did that come from?
Well, I think it came from us becoming parents. That was the greatest tailwind that we did have, and the impetus to bring up our children in an environment that a camp can provide. In this particular camp, when we joined Camp Med-O-Lark and saw how diverse it was in its all walks of life, many different places were represented, many different countries, many different states, all walks of life. The diversity is very high in every way. That really spoke to us. And then you really get such a bonus with the arts programming that was in place. It's such an awakening. The arts, for us, were something that we would love to expose our children to through life, like every parent would like to expose their children to just about everything, including sports. We are not a competitive sport camp, although we keep recreationally busy. We will have a circus arts program that really dovetails nicely with our type of child. But in the arts, what you have is you have children finding something that they really didn't know they had in many instances. So we see this every year. So we wanted our children to grow up in an environment such as this, and it's been a blessing.
Well, and another thing that my kids really love and look forward to each year is the cultural night, where all of, I think it's the counselors who come from different countries, bring food from their country and prepare it. And they got to try food from every country. And I constantly hear about that. I mean, that is something that they will grow old talking about. How did you decide to implement that?
Well, it came organically, like most of our programming and great ideas do come. Most camps have it grown organically from the campership as well as the staff. So we have many different countries represented with campers as well as staff each year. And we celebrate these different cultures. It's not just a one-off. It's not just like, we have somebody from France, somebody from Italy. This is actually celebrated. It is our type of family who puts a premium on knowing that other children from other countries will be attending camp. They would like to be immersed in that environment. So it is an extension of celebration. We call it International Day. It is laborious, as you might imagine, but it is so chock full of fun, chock full of memories. Children love it. It happens to be our best event from the children's feedback over the years. And we continue to do that. Any new country that would be represented in any given year gets a special flag raising in our Coliseum. It's really special and memorable. I've seen many of them now, and it never ceases to amaze all the children. So we're coming together as a world, and the children know this. And as we get further and further along, camp becomes more relevant than ever. And that is just one facet of what camp can do. It can pull people from different cultures together.
Mm-hmm. And help them see their similarities more than their differences, as well as all of their love of devices. But luckily, camp is a wonderful place to have no devices. Talk a little bit about that.
That's correct. As a matter of fact, most camps are in this category. Electronic devices not allowed, no internet, no telephony, no gaming of any sort. And camp is probably the last place that is somewhere for families to be able to send children without their devices. And for whatever the reason, whether it be the FOMO, the fear of missing out, or whether it be, look, I just need a break. I've heard many things over the years. Children come up to me and say, wow, it feels like detox. It feels like rehab. I'm feeling so great that I'm without looking at my phone every 3 or 4 minutes.
Kids actually admit this to you, because they don't admit that to me. My kids don't. So they admit it to you.
They do admit it. I would imagine every camp director and camp counselor hears it. It is true. It's great to hear it, of course. And it's different. I mean, think about it. It's something that's different to them. So just like trying something new in a new class, lamp working with glass. Hey, try this without a phone in your hand. So it's a new experience for them. So it's great. But camp, that's just another one of the many, many reasons camp is phenomenal.
Yes. And I remember the first time I brought my daughters to your camp. It is so majestic, right there on the lake, surrounded by nature and the greenery and these cabins. And it's an incredible, incredible place. I mean, it's priceless, I think, because it's so special, and we know that they're safe. And I do want to go back to the circus. Did you implement the circus? How popular is that? Because I remember driving them onto the campus and seeing, the trapeze and all that going on. And I thought, would my kids try that? Of course, mine said no. But how many do? And tell me about that.
Circus is very popular. I did implement it. We thought it was something that was a natural extension of our type of child. It really appeals widely. It appeals to our thrill seekers. It appeals to our dancers. It appeals to our gymnasts. It appeals to anybody who wants to get involved in a production. It also appeals to people who like to work out, who like to keep fit. So it has a wide appeal. It's fun. It's different. It's not something that everybody can do basically in their backyard or even in their town, So this is something that camp provides, much like horseback riding, that is not on every street corner in your community. It's something that really does well at camp. But what we find, children, much like a ropes course or anything of the risk-taking nature, they come off a trapeze after hitting a trick, and you can just feel it in their body language. An accomplishment, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of going forward. It's really special when that happens. So circus does well, is very popular.
And how do you find counselors or coaches to teach the circus activities?
Well, that's a little difficult. And I can say, does Macy tell Gimbal his secrets? It's not easy. Like every good staff member that you'd like to keep forever, this was a work in progress for the first 3 to 4 years. But we've now been blessed with a team that not only the children love, but are just so fantastic vis-a-vis the administration and their diligence and their responsibility and all, and accountability. We're extremely lucky, and any camp director and owner will tell you they're only as good as the staff they can count on. So we are blessed with a tremendous circus team that we've found.
Yeah. Well, you do have an incredible staff. And, I really think it goes back to the point that your staff members are so passionate about what they do. The teachers for all of the different arts classes, my kids talk about that over and over, that they are dedicated, that they are actual teachers in and around New England or all over. And they come to teach the glass making and the, fabric painting, fabric coloring, the candle making, and they love how much passion that your teachers have for whatever it is they're teaching. And I think that's very unique about your camp, but it also comes from you and your passion for putting on a camp that is quality for all of the students, the kids that partake in it. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, it takes families who put a premium on something like that. The sensory experiences, the awakening of sort that I mentioned that arts can bring about. And it's really nice to see when children have that awakening. The material science in particular, with all the handcraft workshops, a lot of these curriculum, a lot of these programs have been eliminated from schools for budget concerns and for other reasons, but not having them available in certain schools, but yet in the camp can spur on interest, which is really nice too.
Exactly. We're going to bring Dia and Iris back now. Thank you so much, Scott.
My pleasure.
Iris.
So I want to hit upon something that Scott said that we're all talking about, which is, and Dia talked about how important staff was. I mean, if I didn't have counselors telling me I was a good writer, I might be a plumber right now or a trapeze artist, which would be great. And when we went to camp, we did have circus day, and we're going to reinstate it. We're going to steal that. We'll steal it. We're going to reinitiate it. But we all need counselors. We need American counselors, because a lot of our overseas staff, the Australians and the English and the New Zealanders, can't get visas to come over because of what's been going on. So if anyone's listening to all of us and you are, well, for us, you have to be a girl, or a boy, and you want the best experience of your life. I'm a college professor. If you put camp counselor on your resume, I would put it on top of your resume, because it shows leadership, it shows versatility, it shows you could probably do CPR and resurrect your old boss. So if you want to be a camp counselor, go on agawak.com, or Scott, how are they going to reach you?
Med-O-Lark.com.
They can reach me, yes. They could go to the website and request info or work at camp, staff application. That's how it normally happens.
I do want to add upon that. I went to camp for 10 years. This is my 10th summer. I'm going to be doing the photo and video and other creative stuff. But my favorite summer by far was summer of 2014, when I was the counselor for the youngest campers. It was one of the greatest things that helped me figure out who I am. And it was just so much fun, because I wasn't just there for me, but I was also there for them, which gave me a sense of purpose and a sense of leadership that I never really understood that I was capable of. And it was truly the greatest summer of my life. So I definitely second Iris. I guess you're this way. If you want to have the greatest summer of your entire life, I highly, highly suggest being a staff member at either Agawak or Med-O-Lark.
And I imagine that for all of you, you see, and Dia has experienced, that being a counselor really transforms a person into their leadership, into their power, into being more independent and standing up for others, right?
Well, as we were saying, you don't use a lot of technology there at camp. I'm a big tech person. Everything I do is on the computer. And when I was a counselor, I got that opportunity to make videos and make songs and all these things that the campers then enjoyed. So I had that melding. I don't use my phone, but I still have the technology to follow that passion. I definitely say that it's the greatest combination of both being away from the world and with the world.
Incredible. And I just want to end on one last thing, which is You are all passionate about sleepaway camp. And so, when you talk to other people and they have, parents and kids who have concerns, trepidation about going to sleepaway camp, being away from their families for 2 to 4 to 8 weeks, what are your thoughts on that?
I'll be quick. It's a pleasure for these kids to get out of, especially after this year, to really roam and be free. And I know that we live in the era of the helicopter mom, and I probably was one of them. And so when you let go and the children get to let go and make mistakes and can't call mommy if a girl picks on them, can't call mommy if they fall, they have to swim on a really cold day. I just think it's the greatest. I'm sure Scott would agree.
I do agree wholeheartedly. I am a parent of 2 children who are now 21 and 18, who have had the camp experience in their lives, and I would not trade it for really anything. It has been a blessing. And for every child.
And as somebody who might be afraid, I say everything that's scary begins with a little bit of fear. And that's how you know it's worth it. So if you're afraid, know that you're on the right path. There's enough people that have done it before and can tell you that they've survived and thrived moving forward. So don't let that fear stop you. Let that fear excite you to know that you're doing something new, and it's awesome.
Well, fear is at the root of so much success, and pushing through your fears and overcoming adversity is really, when you look at the real leaders, the real moral leaders of our universe. Fear is at their heart.
I was terrified deciding if I should go back to camp this summer because I have an apartment, and then I ended up giving up my apartment because I'm going to move to Nashville after. Like, I have the craziest situation, and it all stemmed. I had this huge fear of going back and forth, and then I called Iris, and she goes, "What's LA going to be missing for a summer?" And I go, "Good point." And she kind of coaxed me out of my fear, but it's in the most amazing way, where I'm so excited to take an opportunity to learn in a new way and be there have a new lens on the same place. But
I said, Dia, just say yes. You're complicating this. Just say yes.
Yes.
Anyway, let's just say yes. I'm so happy to see Scott again. He runs an amazing camp, and I know a lot of the campers who went there and have just thrived. They started at age 8 and they're now freshmen in college, and they've thrived. And Agawak girls, as we say, are tops wherever they go. Agawak girls will always be
incredible. So much fun to have all of you on today. I love your passion for sleepaway camp, your deep authenticity to bring this to so many children. I hope everyone gets the opportunity to go to camp one day, if not this summer. My 3 girls are enrolled and going. We'll see you soon, Scott.
Well, you have a good summer, Julie.
Julie. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, dear. Bye.
Bye, Scott.
Bye, Julie. Nice to meet you.
Bye.